King David knew this exact kind of mourning. In Psalm 55, he didn't write from a place of perfect, untouchable peace. He wrote from a place of deep, suffocating anxiety. He said, "My heart is in anguish within me. Fear and trembling have beset me." He was overwhelmed. He wanted to escape, just like you might be feeling right now. But then, he left us the only anchor that actually holds when the mind is racing. He said, "Cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you." I want to talk to you about that invisible burden you are carrying right now, the one you smile through, the one you hide from your family and your colleagues. God sees it. He knows how heavy it is, and He is asking you, right here, before your day starts, to let it go. We carry things we were never meant to hold. Have you noticed that? You do not just carry your own daily tasks. You carry the unspoken tension in your home. You carry the quiet worry about your family's future. You carry the financial uncertainty that lingers at the back of your mind, the fragile health of someone you love, the expectations of people who do not even know the silent battles you are fighting. It is an invisible weight, and every single morning, before you even pour your coffee, you put it on. You add a few more stones to it, the "what if this goes wrong" stones, the "what if I fail" stones. We do this because somewhere along the way, we started to believe a very subtle, very destructive lie. We started to believe that holding on to the anxiety is the same thing as holding on to control. We think that if we worry enough about a problem, we are somehow protecting ourselves from it. We confuse our anxiety with responsibility. But worry does not empty tomorrow of its sorrow. It only empties today of its strength. It takes the breath you need to walk through this morning, and it spends it on a future that has not even arrived. There is an opposition we face daily. It is not always loud. It is rarely a sudden crisis. Mostly, it is an invisible, silent friction. It is the steady, quiet hum of pressure that slowly drains your spirit over time. It is that deep exhaustion that does not go away with a full night of sleep. When the scripture tells us to cast our burdens upon Him, the original word used paints a very specific picture. It does not mean to gently place them down on a shelf so you can keep a close eye on them. It means to hurl them, to throw them completely off your own shoulders. But throwing something requires opening your hands. It requires letting go of your grip. And that is the hardest part, isn't it? Our hands are so cramped from holding on. We are terrified of what might happen if we actually let the situation fall into God's hands. We wonder if He cares about the quiet details that keep us awake at 3 in the morning. Before we go any deeper, I need to stop here for a moment, because the invitation to cast your burdens is real. But most of us have tried, and the weight came back. Not because the faith wasn't there, but because we were missing something specific. Jesus didn't just speak about peace in the abstract. He encoded the exact mechanics of it into His parables. Hidden layers that speak directly to financial pressure, to broken relationships, to the kind of exhaustion that doesn't lift. I left something in the first pinned comment below this video, a resource that goes into exactly that. Go check it before we continue. What's waiting there may be the piece that finally makes the weight stay gone. He knows the exact weight of what you are carrying. He is not asking you to be strong enough to carry it today. He is asking you to be brave enough to drop it. Think about how much energy it takes just to keep the mask on, just to pretend everything is fine. You show up, you answer the phone, you make the meals, you listen to other people's problems, you do what needs to be done. But beneath the surface, there is a loud, chaotic storm. It is exhausting to live divided like that, to have your physical body going through the motions of the present moment while your mind is miles away, trapped in tomorrow, fighting shadows that have not even taken shape yet. You feel it in your body, don't you? The tight jaw, the shallow breathing, the constant ache in the back of your neck. We spend so much time rehearsing our own tragedies. We play out every worst-case scenario in our heads, convincing ourselves that this is how we prepare. We think that if we just worry enough, we will not be caught off guard when the floor drops out. We try to act as the architects of our own future, but human shoulders were never designed to bear the weight of tomorrow. You were only given enough grace, enough breath, and enough strength for today, just this one single day. The manna in the wilderness only lasted for a day.
When the people tried to hoard it out of fear for tomorrow, it spoiled. Our strength is exactly like that. When we try to stretch today's limited energy over tomorrow's imagined problems, we break down. When God promises to sustain you, He is inviting you into a trade. But a trade requires you to actually hand something over. You bring the tangled, heavy mess of your anxious thoughts. You bring the fear of running out of time or money or patience. You bring the deep weariness of trying to hold your family and your life together by yourself. And in return, He rarely hands you a detailed roadmap. He does not give you a spreadsheet showing exactly how your problem will be solved. That is what our anxious minds demand, but it is not what our souls actually need to survive. Instead of an explanation, He gives you His presence. He steps into the middle of the noise. The wind might still be howling outside your door. The opposition might still be there, but the panic starts to lose its grip on your throat, because you finally realize you are not the one steering the ship anymore. There is a profound loneliness in anxiety. Even when you are sitting at a crowded dinner table or lying next to the person you have loved for decades, you can feel entirely isolated. Your body is present in the room, but your mind is trapped in a cycle of worry, miles away in a future that hasn't happened yet. You nod, you smile, you serve the people around you, but inside, you are calculating. You are constantly bracing for the next blow. The enemy of your peace uses this isolation. He whispers that no one would understand the true depth of your exhaustion. He convinces you that you must figure it all out before the sun sets, or the whole fragile structure of your life will just collapse. That invisible opposition thrives in the silence of your unshared burdens. It feeds on the quiet pride that makes us say, "I have to handle this on my own." But casting your burden on Him breaks that silence. It shatters the heavy illusion that you are an orphan in this world, left to fend for yourself against the changing tides of the economy, the unpredictability of illness, or the painful complexity of human relationships. Peter, a man who knew exactly what it was to step out of a safe boat onto violent, unpredictable waves, wrote something beautiful. He said, "Cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you." Notice the word he chose, all. He didn't say to hand over the big, monumental crises and quietly manage the daily, grinding frustrations on your own. All of it. The lingering doubt about a decision you made yesterday, the knot in your stomach about a hard conversation you have to face tomorrow, the quiet, unspoken grief over a season of your life that just didn't turn out the way you had hoped. He cares for you. Not just the polished, Sunday morning version of you, not just the strong, unshakable version of you. He cares for the version of you that woke up this morning, staring at the ceiling, feeling too heavy to even push the blankets off. What you're feeling right now, that loosening in your chest, that quiet recognition that you were never meant to carry this alone. Hold on to that, because here's what I've come to understand. The burden comes back when we don't have the right foundation beneath the surrender.
Jesus built that foundation into his parables. Specific truths about provision, about peace, about the mechanics of a life that doesn't keep collapsing under its own weight. I left the keys to that in the first pinned comment below this video. Go find it before the day pulls you away from this moment. What's there goes far deeper than what we can cover here. When you finally bring him your fractured piece, you are doing the most profoundly spiritual thing a human being can do. You are acknowledging your own limits. You are stepping down from the exhausting job of trying to control the universe, and you are allowing God to simply be God. Have you ever noticed what happens in the physical body when you finally, truly surrender? There is a quietness that settles into your bones, not the forced silence of someone holding their breath in terror, but the deep, steady calm of a solitary soul that has finally stopped running. We spend so much of our lives fighting the lions in our own minds. We pace the floor of our worries, staring at the things that threaten to consume us. The anxiety roars. It tells us that we are unprotected. It projects a false urgency into our quietest spaces, convincing us that if we do not act immediately, everything we have built will be lost. But true peace is not found by shouting down the anxiety. It is not found by fighting the air. It is found in the very deliberate stillness. Think of the men who walked before us, men whose faith was tested in the fire and in the dust of the ancient world. Think of a man thrown into a dark pit, surrounded by actual breathing lions. He did not survive the night by wrestling the beasts with his bare hands. He survived by turning his gaze away from the immediate threat and fixing his eyes entirely on the God who shuts the mouths of lions. That is what casting your burden looks like in the reality of your daily life. It is a solitary choice you make in the quietness of your own room, long before you walk out the door to face the world. It is taking that heavy, tangled knot of fear, the overwhelming debt, the terrifying diagnosis, the shattered relationship, and deliberately lifting it out of your own fragile hands. You might be standing in a desert right now, a dry, exhausting season where the landscape around you feels barren, and you feel like you have been wandering for a lifetime, waiting for a promise that seems delayed. You feel entirely alone in the heat of it all. But the desert is historically where the clearest instructions are given. When the noise of your own plans is finally stripped away, when you are no longer distracted by the illusion that you can control your own destiny, his voice cuts through the dry wind. He is not asking you to carve your own path through the wilderness. He is asking you to stop frantically trying to fix the unfixable, to stand still, and to watch him open the waters. When you give him the burden, you do not just lose the heavy weight, you gain your vision back. You can finally look up. Imagine sitting in a room before the sun fully rises, just you and the quiet stillness of the dawn. There are no sudden, dramatic flashes of light breaking through the darkness to instantly make everything perfect. Reality rarely works like that. Instead, there is just the slow, steady arrival of the morning, a completely natural transition from night into day. In this solitary, quiet space, I want you to pay attention to your posture. For months, maybe years, you have been bracing yourself, shoulders tight, chest closed. It is a posture built for defense. You have carried the weight of your home, the unspoken expectations, and the quiet fears of what lies ahead. You have held them so tightly, terrified that if you let your guard down for even a second, everything will unravel. But grace does not demand you to be an unbreakable fortress. Listen to the simple, ambient sound of the morning, the quiet rhythm of your own breathing. That breath is a gift, given specifically for today. It was never meant to be held hostage by the invisible opposition of tomorrow. When Jesus walked this earth, he did not rush. He moved through those ancient, dusty roads
with a deliberate, unhurried pace.
He faced immense pressure every single day, people demanding his time, his energy, his healing. Yet he constantly withdrew to solitary places. He sought out the quiet, barren landscapes, far from the crowds, where the only sound was the wind. He understood a profound truth that we so often forget. You cannot pour out peace if your own well is completely dry. You are allowed to step away from the noise. You are allowed to stop trying to be the architect of your own rescue. Casting your burden onto Him is not some quick escape. It does not mean the hard realities of your life just disappear into thin air. The responsibilities will still be there when the sun comes up. The complicated relationship might still take time to heal. The financial stretch might still require careful steps. But the crushing, suffocating weight of controlling those outcomes, that is what you are leaving on the floor. You are standing up from that burden. You are changing your posture. You are looking at the exact same life, but finally acknowledging that you are not the one holding the sky up. He is, and His grip is infinitely stronger than yours. Let the morning be quiet. Let the burden be His. There is a profound courage in simply deciding to trust again, in looking at the chaotic landscape of your present circumstances and saying, I do not have the answers, but I know the one who does. If you are still here at the end of this video with me, I want to invite you to subscribe to our channel and join us every day, because I know that if you are still listening, it is because your soul is deeply tired of carrying the weight alone, and you are actively seeking the quiet peace that only He can provide. We are walking this unhurried road together. Now, think about what happens when you finally step out of that quiet room and actually start your day. The world will immediately try to hand the burden back to you. The phone will ring. The noise will start. The people who depend on you will ask for your strength. The anxiety will knock on the door, wearing the very familiar clothes of responsibility and urgency. When that happens, and it will happen, probably before noon, you do not have to fight the feeling. You just have to refuse to accept the baggage. It is like someone trying to hand you a heavy, soaked coat that does not belong to you. You do not have to scream at the storm. You do not have to argue with the wind. You simply keep your hands by your sides and let the coat fall to the ground. That is what it means to continually cast your cares. It is a quiet, ongoing refusal to carry what God has already promised to hold. You might have to cast the exact same burden 20 times before lunchtime. You might have to mentally surrender the exact same fear every single time it tries to cross your mind. The opposition will whisper that this means your faith is weak, but that is a lie. Casting your burden repeatedly is not a failure of faith. It is the very rhythm of faith. It is the breathing of the soul, exhaling the worry, inhaling the grace, over and over again. You do it in the middle of traffic. You do it quietly in the middle of a crowded room. You do it while washing the dishes. Do not measure your spiritual depth by the complete absence of trouble or fear. Measure it by how quickly you drop the weight when it tries to climb back onto your shoulders. You do not have to be the strong one today. You just have to stay close to the one who is. You are about to stand up. You are about to walk out into the current of your life, stepping into the exact same day you were so hesitant to face just a few moments ago. But something in the room has shifted. The giant has not moved. The mountain has not shrunk. The turbulent waters are still right there, waiting just outside your door. But they no longer dictate your peace, because the burden of parting those waters is not on your shoulders. It never was. You are walking into this day with empty hands, and that is exactly how you were always meant to walk. Empty hands are the only kind of hands that are actually free to hold on to grace.
When your fingers are no longer cramped and tightly wrapped around your own survival, they are finally open enough to receive the quiet provision that has already been placed on your path for today. You do not need to have the entire month figured out. You do not even need to have this afternoon figured out. You only need the grace for the very next step. And the light provided for that step is enough. Let the people around you see you walk differently today. They might not understand how you can be so unhurried in the middle of a storm. You do not have to explain it to them. Just let the quiet, steady rhythm of your spirit be the undeniable evidence that your anchor is holding. Before you step out, one last thing.
The first pinned comment is still there. What I left inside gives you the specific, practical foundation that makes the casting stick, so the burden doesn't find its way back by noon. Go find it before the day begins. Empty hands deserve to stay empty. If this time we spent together brought some stillness to your morning, I want to ask you to follow this channel. Subscribe so we can continue to meet here in the quiet every day. Think of 5 people in your life who are silently carrying a crushing load right now. People who are exhausted and just need to know they do not have to hold the sky up by themselves. Share this video with those 5 people. Before you step into your day, go down to the comments. Leave a completely sincere comment about the specific weight you are dropping from your shoulders this morning. And tell me, what is the heavy subject you need us to talk about in our next video? Take one more slow, steady breath. The day is waiting, and you are no longer carrying it alone.